cried a lot at the hospital.
Also, Diesel has been very jealous.
I'm not going to give any more information than that.
Have the kid and then bam, done.
Welcome back to our channel. Today is the day that we are giving you the update that I have been talking about on Instagram and in our other videos for a little while now. So today is Friday. Tomorrow Louie will be 2 weeks old, and here she is. Here's our baby. She's wearing a very cute elephant onesie today. So in our last video, we kind of showed you some pictures and videos that were like cutesy and showed you just like the happy fun side of bringing Louie home.
Yes, because that's what it's all about. It's just showing the happy side.
So this video is going to be a little bit more real, where we kind of talk to you about some of the stuff that we had a hard time with when we came home from the hospital.
And some stuff that we're still having a hard time with.
Yeah. So number one, I am breastfeeding, and when we were in the hospital, Louie had lost 10%, almost 10% of her original weight, and so they wanted me to be supplementing with formula. And I was really upset about this. I felt really defeated. I cried a lot at the hospital when the pediatrician had said this, and she was like, it's totally okay for you to be upset about this. I had to do the same thing with my first child, and like, it's totally understandable for you to be, you know, devastated. So they gave us this little syringe, and on the end of it was this long skinny tube, and she said, what you're gonna do is, instead of introducing a bottle, you're going to get her to latch like normal, and then just slide this tube in and pump in the supplement with the syringe. And we did it at the hospital, and it worked perfectly fine, and we were like, okay, we can do this. It's not a problem.
She was also latching at the hospital perfectly fine.
Yeah,
too.
at the hospital she was latching very well. Almost too good. She obviously, my milk had not come in yet, so when we were in the hospital she was latching so hard that like it was leaving bruises on my nipples. Yeah, so every time a nurse would come back, I was trying to nurse her every 2 hours, but she is like really, she does not want to wake up to eat ever. And so the nurse would come back, and we'd be going like pushing the 3 hour mark, and they'd be like, I really would wake her up to nurse, and I'm like, are you sure? I don't want to. But of course we did, and yeah, so like I said, we were supplementing, and we had come home from the hospital, and supplementing soon became very trying and exhausting. She basically stopped latching, and she kind of figured out what we were doing with that syringe, and she would like unlatch from me and just suck on the end of the tube.
Yeah.
So I felt really just like defeated. I was like, I'm sucking at this, I'm failing. I cried basically every single night, and then I was like, she hadn't latched in all day basically. She was basically just drinking what we were supplementing with, which wasn't even like a whole ounce.
No.
So I was like, I caved, and I made her a bottle, and the whole time I was feeding her the bottle, I just was like sobbing in tears because I was so upset that I couldn't get her to breastfeed. It was really hard. It was really hard. Those like first 3 days, plus I was just exhausted because I was like waking up every single 2 hours to wake her up so that I could get her to latch. Plus, because she wasn't latching, I was so engorged when my milk finally came in that every 2 hours I would try to get her to latch. She wouldn't. I'd make her a bottle, and then I would pump. So like by the time everything in this process was finished, it was like that next 2 hours was already there, and I had to redo the process all over again, and it was just exhausting. We were taking her to the pediatrician every single day because they wanted to monitor her weight, and I was so dead tired.
Yeah.
But then by some miracle, the day after we decided to give her a bottle for the first time, she magically started latching again. We took her to the pediatrician and she was finally gaining weight. They were fine to stop supplementing with formula, and she's been strictly breastfeeding ever since. Like, she latches great. We do occasionally give her a bottle if I feel like maybe she hadn't gotten enough that day or whatever. If she's really, really fussy and I feel like it's because she's starving, then I'll make her a bottle, but it's maybe once a day, if that. She's doing really, really great. She, like I said, she's breastfeeding perfectly fine now. She takes a binky great. She takes a bottle just fine when we give her one. Like, she's been pretty great.
Well, the other times that we'll give her a bottle is like if I come home from closing and everything and it's like, 4 a.m. or something like that, and I notice that Megan's like really exhausted, like her alarm is going off for that 2-hour mark of due to her alarm set for breastfeeding, and I see that she's exhausted. I'll be like, I'll go get a bottle and everything. What? Also, Diesel has been very jealous the past couple of days.
Yeah, anytime I'm not holding Louie or not nursing or whatever, if she's just like somewhere else, Diesel is usually like right at my hip. He wants to be snuggled and loved.
We just need to get him another friend.
But so the only other thing that So the other thing that we're sort of dealing with right now is that she literally would sleep all day long if we let her. So I have to be waking her up every 2 hours to breastfeed. And oh my gosh, I feel like I'm like breaking a parent law every time I wake her up, because everyone always says, never wake a sleeping baby. And I'm like, okay, but if I didn't wake her up, she would starve. Plus, I'm like terrified that if I don't wake her up, she won't gain weight, and then I'll go back to the pediatrician and they'll want to put her on a supplement again, and I just can't.
And that whole like traumatizing experience will be starting over.
I hate to say that it was traumatizing, but really it was. Like,
our pediatrician, first of all, let's just state this. The pediatrician is great.
We love our pediatrician. Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't, like, obviously upset with her at all when she said that.
It's just a situation. We're just upset with the situation.
Yeah, it was exhausting. Yeah. But then my milk finally came in, and it's in for sure.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But so, yeah, that's kind of the update with Louie. Some other things that are going on with her, if you noticed in our birth vlog, she was born with a little like skin tag on her left hand, on her left pinky. And when we were at the hospital, the pediatrician was like, what we can do is we can just tie off the skin tag right at the base, and eventually it'll just lose circulation and it'll fall off all by itself, kind of like the umbilical cord. And we were like, okay, yeah, let's do that. That seems minorly invasive. Like, we're totally for that. Well, we had taken her to the pediatrician on Tuesday.
Yep.
And her skin tag, like, it had a little blister at the base of her finger, and it just didn't look right to me. So I wanted to take her in and have them look at it. They looked at it, they snipped off majority of it, but they left a little bit there. And the pediatrician was kind of like, I'm not super happy with how this turned out. I really wanted it to fall off on its own, but it's kind of still there. They don't think that she can feel it. Like, I tried touching it every once in a while to see if it's like sensitive, and it doesn't seem to bother her at all. But what the pediatrician had said was that they are going to recommend her to a plastic surgeon to have it like completely removed.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of terrifying. I'm a little bit afraid of that, but when they had tied off her skin tag in the first place, they had said that probably when she's like 2 or 3, they would have to recommend us to a plastic surgeon anyways, because they would want to like make sure that there's no like nerve problems or anything like that, and surgery would probably end up being inevitable. So it's kind of better that it's happening now rather than having to wait, but it still freaks me out a lot. They said that we wouldn't hear from the plastic surgeon until she's at least a month old, so we've got a little bit of time to kind of cope with that, but I'm definitely like freaking out a little bit for sure.
Yeah.
We also learned that Louie has very sensitive, dry skin, and so we had to buy a special lotion that was like fragrance-free and alcohol-free and
everything free.
And
yet it was the most expensive.
It was like this big tub. It's Eucerin, and it was like $15. But yeah, I hate applying it to her skin. It's like so sticky and thick. It's like applying diaper cream to her whole body. but she hasn't had like a rash or a breakout since we started using it, so that's good. Moving on to other things, here's kind of like the update of how I'm doing since labor and having a baby. When I had Louie, I had very minimal tearing. There wasn't like much maintenance that needed to go on down there.
Yeah.
But there still was like stitches and, you know, that sort of thing, very common. And I'm just, at this point, you know, almost 2 weeks later, I'm just, oh no. At this point, I'm just still like sore. It just kind of basically all feels like a giant bruise. If that's like the, I'm not going to give any more information than that, basically. After I had Louie, there was a lot of like bleeding and stuff, and they were worried about hemorrhaging and that sort of thing, but it didn't end up being a problem. I kind of had a feeling it was going to be that way, just based on like what I know about myself and like hormonally and, you know, all those sort of things.
Yeah.
I kind of knew it was going to be that way, so I wasn't super surprised, but it ended up being not a problem at all. There wasn't any issue with hemorrhaging or anything like that, so yeah. What about you, Dad? How have you been since Louie's been born and been here and so on and so forth?
It's still like, every time I leave to go to work or something, then I come back in the morning and I see her, I'm like, oh yeah, I have a kid. In a good way. It's like, I don't know, it just keeps on shocking me each day. I'm like, I have a kid. I have a baby.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a father.
It's so weird. Like, I just, even though, you know, everything that happened at the hospital is still freshly in my mind, it's like I look at her and it just doesn't feel like real life.
Yeah.
It feels like this dream that I'm just waiting to wake up from.
Yeah.
It's so surreal. I can't believe it. She's so great, and we love her so much.
Oh yeah.
It's been such a blessing having her here. As hard as some nights may be, and as like trying as being a mom to a newborn has been, it's been just such a blessing, and I get just so emotional sometimes looking at her and just like,
you're getting emotional right now.
Yeah, well, because it's just like, I just look at this sweet little baby and I'm like, how in the world are you here?
Yeah.
Like
we have talked about having kids for so long.
Yeah.
Because we've been together for so long.
Yeah, this November, we will have been together for like 8 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's something that we've talked about our whole lives, having a family and being parents. And so when we got married, we knew it was just like a matter of time before we started trying for kids. Like, we didn't wait, you know, a very long time because we didn't want to. We wanted to have kids. It was something we had always dreamed of doing, and now it's real life, and it's bonkers.
Yeah, it is nothing short of a dream come true.
Yeah. I will say though that Logan and I, before having Louie, had talked about having like 4 to 5 kids of our own.
And then adopting after that?
Yeah, and then like possibly adopting or being foster parents after that. And I still want to adopt, I still want to foster, but Logan and I are like leaving the conversation open about having more kids of our own. I think
she says we are. I'm not, but then again, I'm not the one that pushed out this baby and everything. So like, I'm not, we've come to an impasse basically about the whole having more kids as of right now.
I think probably in like 3 or 4 years we might have another one, maybe. But the thing about it is, childbirth is terrifying, and also pregnancy isn't really that fun. It's a blessing, and I would do it all over again to have Louie 100 times over because she's amazing and I love her so much. But it's just it's not fun. I know so many people who have these really big families, and after experiencing childbirth one time, I'm like, wow, bless your heart, because that's incredible. I did it one time, and I don't know that I want to do it again. It's It's just that, like, when I was growing up, I never had to be at the hospital for any reason at all, ever. Like, no surgeries, no broken bones, no stitches or anything like that. And so when we got to the hospital, I was terrified of getting an IV.
Just being at the hospital in general was, like, traumatizing for her.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't like being in hospitals. It freaks me out. And so I was like, they came in to give me my IV, and I was like... I was freaking out. Plus, they had to, like, do blood work on me, like, 3 times while I was there.
Yep.
And I was terrified. So, like, if you watched our birth vlog, then you know that, like, my original goal was that I didn't want to get the epidural. And I wanted to go as long as I could and try to go natural. And it wasn't for any, like, natural hippy-dippy reasons. It was because I was terrified of getting the epidural. Not because I was worried about getting paralyzed or anything like that. Like, I know that they're professionals. I know that they're not going to bring some hobo off the street to give me an epidural.
Right.
It's just that, like, that's a scary, like, there's this needle that's pretty big. It's not as big as most people say it is. I think it's, like, this big. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
And then they, like, put this catheter in your back to, like, put the medicine in. And, like, the whole time after I got the epidural, I was, like, terrified of the catheter coming out. Like, the one that they put in your back for the epidural. I was terrified. I, like, would... Because I still had, like, pretty good mobility after getting the epidural. Like, I could move my feet, I could move my toes, I could move my legs. I just couldn't, like really feel too much of anything.
Yeah.
So when I would have to move, and they would, like, move me from side to side with the peanut bottle, I was, like, being so cautious, and I was so terrified that it was going to come out, and they would have to come back and do it again. I was freaked out. So, like, I just, it was scary. It was very scary. Yeah. I want to have a big family, and I want to have lots of kids. I just don't know that I want to birth all of them. I think we will have at least one more. Maybe more. I don't know for sure right now. Obviously, we have a 2-week-old, so we're not really talking about having kids right now. Okay, well, that's all for us right now. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for being part of this journey with us. We're not done vlogging. Like,
no, this is it.
No, we're not done.
This was the whole point of the vlogging, was just to have the kid, and then bam, done. We'll do, like, a, reunion about 15 years from now.
Reunion. Like, we're gonna separate. But yeah, so that's all for us for now. We're still gonna try and stick to our Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday schedule. No promises. We might, be a little busy or distracted.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks so much for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Facebook if you have not done so already. And babe, what else should they do?
They should tell all the friends about our beautiful family and our beautiful little baby that we had.
Beautiful little baby girl. And Diesel, yes. Okay, guys, thanks so much. Bye.
See ya.